And we are live. Hey everybody out there in social distancing quarantine land. Chris Clark here with Therapeutic Elements, Center for Massage Therapy. Coming to you live with another edition of Stretch Saturdays, which is slowly evolving into Self-Care Saturdays. So the last couple of times we were just doing a simple stretching routine, utilizing contract relax stretches that we actually implement in our clinic. And this time what we're actually going to focus on is how to use the foam rollers. And foam rollers come in a variety of different shapes, sizes, and densities, so it doesn't really matter which one you have at home. Whatever you have is fine. If you don't already have it, I'll give you a moment to go grab it. I'm sure it's like collecting dust in a closet or sitting in the corner laughing at you because you never use it. But hopefully by the end of today, you're going to be able to use it while your family's watching a movie. You'll find out how easy it is to just whip that thing out and actually do a little self-care massage on yourself. They're actually relatively inexpensive on Amazon if you don't already have one. And the way that we're setting up these Facebook Live events is that you can watch this, you can rewind it, you can watch it at a later time, doesn't really matter. It's there for you to use whenever you want. So if you don't have a foam roller today, that's okay. Go ahead and participate, watch live with us, and then this will be kind of in the Therapeutic Elements library, and you can go back and check it out whenever you want. The foam roller that I have is a medium density, 24-inch, just about 2 feet long. Actually, I think it's 36 inches. Yeah, that's 36 inches. And I like this one because it covers the entire width of my body, so I can use it just about everywhere. But they come in all different shapes, sizes, widths, and densities. If you've never done foam rolling before, go with the softer one and progress your way up into the more dense foam rollers. You'll notice that there's some really tender areas, and we're going to work on some of those today. So start with the softer, progress into the harder density foam rollers. The other thing you want to grab is some sort of a ball. Tennis balls work really, really well. They're relatively soft. You could get into a lacrosse ball or a trigger point ball. I have a lacrosse ball here. Trigger point ball. This is actually the same crepe material that your shoe sole is made out of. So this one's a little softer and squishier, a lot more comfortable versus this guy. And this, it works really, really well too. What you'll notice as we're using any of these devices to do self-massage is once you find a hot spot, you can leave pressure on the hot spot for anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute. And what you're attempting to do is release the contraction that's creating the knot in such a way that the sensitivity diminishes by about 50%. So it doesn't have to go away 100%, but just get it to go away by 50% and then move on. When you are putting pressure with these little devices, whether it's the foam roller or the trigger point ball or the lacrosse ball or the tennis ball, if it's too tender to leave pressure on it, simply just roll onto the device, give yourself a count of 5, and then gently roll off. And you can just do that until it gets comfortable enough where you can just sustain pressure on that area. Alright, so we're going to focus on the foam roller today. And I think that where we should all start and focus is our hip flexors. I know a lot of people have been sitting more than normal. So, just to give you an idea, hip flexors are right here in the front of the hip. So what your objective is to put your body weight onto the foam roller as much as possible. So we're going to start here on the right hip, right where the quads come up the hip and connect right into the ASIS and the iliac crest of the hip right here. So You got your quads coming up, the TFL comes up right here, and the glutes start to come around the side. And this area gets really, really tight and tender on a lot of people. So we'll go ahead and start there, and then we're gonna work our way from the hip down all the way to the knee. So when you're working through the quadriceps, we need to do the anterior, the front of the thigh, the interior, the medial aspect of the thigh, and then this lateral outer aspect of the thigh, because you've got quadriceps surrounding the whole thigh. So we'll go from the hip all the way down to the knee, and then we'll switch over to do the other side. Let's go ahead and take 2 minutes per thigh, and then what you're looking to do is stop on any hot spots, okay? And when I say hot spot, you'll know what I mean. As you're rolling, it gets really, really tight and sore and tender. You're like, ooh, that's a good one. But to find those spots, you need to go relatively slow. So as you're rolling on the foam roller, you need to be traveling at about 1 inch every 3 seconds. So that's a good rule of thumb, 1 inch every 3 seconds. I do see a lot of people racing through the foam rolling, whereas that may feel somewhat good. It's not as productive as going slow. When you go quickly, you can't really pick up on where all those hot spots exactly are, so you don't know where to stop and park. So you need to go nice and slow, look for the hot spots, stop on it, let it release by 50%, and then start to move on, okay? So here, I've moved the foam roller out slightly. I'm gonna lay my hip right on the foam roller. My left leg is bent out to the side. I'm gonna come head on for you so you can see a little bit better. And my thigh is on the inside third of the foam roller, and my leg is bent out to the side. And I'm gonna use my hands to support myself as I roll forward. And then my right leg is gonna come up in the air. So now my right leg's pointed out behind me, and I can just crawl forward, looking for those nice tender hot spots right in the front of my hip. Now I'm not actually up on the bone, I'm just on the attachments. A little bit different angle here. So I'm contacting the ground with 3 points of contact. My left knee, and then my left and right hand are supporting me. And I'm balancing on the foam roller. Working all the way down to my knee. Nice and slow. There's a good spot right there. Park and sit. Now once I've done the entire front of my thigh, I'm going to go ahead and roll over to the inside of my thigh. So I'm going to use the hands of a clock to tell you where to position this foam roller. Because the idea is that your limb needs to be perpendicular or crossways to the foam roller. So if my head is 12 o'clock, I'm going to position the foam roller at roughly 1 o'clock. And then I'm going to actually put my right leg out to the side like a frog. And now I'm supporting myself on the ground with my left leg and foot, my right and left hands. Now my right leg is all the way up off the ground. And I can just lay my body weight on the foam roller, slowly rolling, looking for the hot spot. Now there's something really tender there. I'm just gonna sit there, let gravity do all the work for me. And you can see how you could easily do this while you're watching your favorite TV program. So it doesn't really take any extra time out of your life. Working it all the way down to the knee, nice and slow. Now, some additional things you can start to do is you can start to internally and externally rotate your thigh. So your knee rolls in, your knee rolls out. You can point, extend and flex your ankle, move your ankle around in a circle, and you'll actually feel it engage those muscles and help work them out. If you've ever heard of pin and stretch technique, active release technique, ART, that's essentially what you're doing is you're holding that tissue down and then taking the muscles through a range of motion. Alright, now for the one that's probably gonna light you up the most, the outside of the thigh. So the outside of the thigh is where that infamous IT band hangs out. And that's the one that people hate to work on the most. If you run a lot, this is the one that's gonna be tight on you. Or if you're just out there like a weekend warrior doing a lot of physical activity. So what we're gonna do is the left foot is gonna contact the ground. I'm gonna support myself with my right hand and probably my right elbow and forearm. Contact your hip against the foam roller. Looks like the sun just came out. Alright, so now we're gonna balance on the foam roller. So I'm supporting myself with my forearm, my hands, my foot, and now my right hip is touching the foam roller. Now I'm gonna lift my right leg up off the ground. And I'm starting to gently push myself with my left foot, rolling forward on the foam roller. Looking for little hot spots. Oh, there's one. Okay. So I'm gonna sit right there and just let it start to dissolve. And you can start to internally, externally rotate your thigh, extend and flex your toes, move your ankle in a circle. You can even roll your hips forward and backwards, just massaging that little area out. Uh-oh, there's a cloud. I don't know if any of you guys are actually following along at home. Why don't you type in some comments of what you're experiencing right now. Alright, so there we did the anterior, the medial aspect, and the lateral aspect of your hip and thigh. Now we're going to get up into the glutes. Oh, lightning. And the sun's out again. Alright, so to do the glutes, we're actually going to sit up on the foam roller. Just like this. So I'm going to give you a different angle at home. So you're sitting on the foam roller, just like this. Alright. So let's start on the right glute. And all I'm going to do is put all my weight on my right hand and then start to roll a little bit over to the right. Really trying to get as much contact with the foam roller on the back of my hip on the right. And start to roll forward on the roller. Looking for those nice little hot spots. If you have a trigger point in there, you might feel some referral sensations going up or down the leg. And you can roll all the way up to the top of your hip there. Careful not to go onto your low back. You're staying right on the hip right there. Nice and slow. start to lift that leg up, move it through some range of motion, internally, externally rotate the thigh until you feel something good. And by good, I mean painful. All right, and then to add a little extra, if you want to get into the piriformis, because it's down in there too, go ahead and raise your right ankle up over your left knee so that you have a figure 4 formation. And you can really open up your hip and get a little into the piriformis. Now, just to keep us on track, I'm going to just stick with the right side, and then you guys can rewind this and do your entire left side over again. The legs take quite a long time because there's so much real estate to cover, and we use our legs so much throughout the day in all our daily activities, and we really neglect them. A lot of times when people come in for a massage treatment in the clinic, they want their neck or back or shoulders done, and then they neglect their legs. So it's a great opportunity for you to take care of your legs, especially since we're all stuck inside. Okay, let's get down into the hamstrings. Hamstrings are on the back of the thigh. Hamstrings get really, really tight anytime you flex the knee. So if you're sitting a lot at your computer at home, naturally your hamstrings are going to get tight. So here you are sitting on the foam roller. You're going to literally just start to roll yourself backwards. You can start by doing both hamstrings at the same time. A lot of times there's not enough weight to get into those tight hamstrings. So what you can do is take your left leg, cross it over your right leg, and you can put a little bit more pressure down on the hamstring. So I'm supporting myself with my right and left hand, balancing on the foam roller, and just pressing a little more pressure down with my left leg. And now I moved up to I'm actually up on my fists now. I'm looking for hot spots in my hamstrings. All the way down just above the knee. You can start to roll your thigh a little bit too. So here I'm internally rotating my hip and thigh. Get in the inside aspect of my hamstrings. Nice and slow. You can roll out as well, doing the outer aspect of your hamstrings. You gotta go slow, don't go too fast. Not that it's gonna hurt you, but you really won't find the problem areas. Okay. So a good rule of thumb, start with like 1 to 2 minutes per zone, because as you can see, this takes up a lot of time with all the areas you want to work on. Calf muscles. Most people have some tightness in their calf muscles. The calf muscles integrate the only level 2 lever in the whole body. Your ankle is a lot like a wheelbarrow, and the force is coming up from your calf muscle. So this calf supports the entire body like a wheelbarrow, lifting your body through the ankle. So you can go ahead and cross your leg or start with both legs on the foam roller. Just below the knee, start to roll yourself back, supporting yourself with the hands, balancing on the roller. It's a good little upper body strength warm up too. So a great thing to do before you work out. Trying to create some balance in your tissue. I'm going to go ahead and cross my legs, give my calf a little bit more tension. You can also directly put your foot down on the shin, give yourself a little bit more pressure there. Find a hot spot, park and sit on it. You guys got any comments? Type them below. I'll try to answer any questions you might have. You can hop on the live feed too. Oh, that's really tender. So while we're here, I'll go ahead and introduce the application of any of these ball devices. You can invite your friends too. Tag somebody you think will really enjoy this. So the cool thing with a foam roller is that you can use it as a diagnostic tool to find those really bad areas in your leg. So I just found one right here in my right calf muscle, or gastrocnemius if you're all into medical terminology. So then you can take your ball of choice. If you have a tennis ball, that's fine. Once you really get progressive, you could get into golf balls, but they're like super hard and dense. And then you're just gonna use the ball in place of the foam roller, because the ball can get into little spaces that the foam roller is just too big to get into. You're gonna use it just like a foam roller. So here I'm lifting my leg up off the ground, balancing right on the trigger point that's in my calf on the little trigger point ball. And then if I stop feeling it and I want to increase pressure, just use my foot, press down a little bit more. Typically it takes anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute for the pain or sensitivity to decrease. And once that starts to decrease, you can take your pressure off, roll off of it, and then you can actually come back onto it. So a question that we're getting is, how often should I do this? How long should I do it for? You could literally do self-massage on yourself every day, and the length of time that you want to actually be on each area is going to be dependent on how many problems you find and how often you're doing it. So for this spot here, I'm actually feeling that the sensitivity is going away. So what I'm going to do is actually just move my little device, in this case the trigger point ball, just going to move it out to the side about a ½ inch. And there I can find another little piece of the muscle tissue still tight and sensitive. So if you think of a knot, is this ball of wound up tissue that's in the muscle, right? Well, you can hit it from all these different angles, and it literally creates a different sensation every time you press from a different angle. So as it releases and the built up metabolic waste starts to go back into your bloodstream and back into your lymphatic system, the whole thing has not disappeared. Just that little area you put pressure on. So what you want to do is get a little piece of it to relax so the sensitivity goes away, and then as that little piece relaxes, press on it from a different angle. See if you can re-engage that tender point or trigger point. See if you can find more of it. The better you get at it, you'll notice that the trigger point gets smaller and smaller, and goes from this really dense, hard nodule, and it turns into the consistency of oatmeal. It just vanishes. It becomes really hard to find it. And that one's pretty much, there's a little bit left there. There you go. That one's running all the way down the length of my leg to my foot. So a nice trigger point right in my calf going to my foot. The thing about trigger points is they don't just magically disappear. You do need to get in there and work them out. They will make you move differently. And the more trigger points you have, the more it's going to alter the way that you do your movements. Normal living activities, working out, eating, sleeping, walking, running, doesn't really matter what it is. If there's a trigger point in there, it's going to alter the way that you move biomechanically through space and time. So the more of those that you can find and get rid of, the easier your body can move and the less energy you need to do it. So it's really good practice to be in. If you like what you're feeling here, you should definitely get on a 20-minute consult Zoom with me and see, could I create a program specifically for you? Because a program that works for me is going to be completely different than a program that works for you. And we can figure that out in 20 minutes over a video conference. Okay. Now, we've neglected the front of the leg right here, tibialis anterior. So, what we're going to do to get into that tibialis anterior is we're not going to use the foam roller. We're going to use your ball of choice. You're going to be on all fours. Take your little ball, and there's a little groove next to the shin bone. So you can start there, and then just start to roll your knee forward while putting pressure on the ball. Looking for those little referral patterns. And there I have a referral from a tender point just below my knee in the tibialis anterior, and it's running all the way down to my ankle. On the side, you have peroneal muscles here, so you can't neglect those either. Those get really, really tight and sore. It's pretty common to see that too. So internally rotate your knee and start to roll on the outside. Oh yeah, that's really sore. What we're hearing a lot of is people who hop on this call, it's not a call, they hop on the video and they watch this and they participate. They're motivated to go out that day and work out because they're actually feeling better. They're moving better. So they get out of here and they're like, man, I want to go on a bike ride, or I want to go on a canoe ride, or go fishing or something. Be outside, be moving around. Alright, last thing I'm going to leave you with here is the bottom of the foot. So another really good use for this ball is the plantar fascia surface of your foot. If you don't have a ball, the old school method is to just take a water bottle, fill it up 3/4 of the way, and then freeze it. You don't want to fill it all the way because when you freeze water, it expands. So make sure you leave some room in the bottle for it to expand as it freezes, otherwise it'll pop the cap off in the freezer. So you're simply going to place the ball on the ground and then stand on it. Now, if you want to, you can do it sitting. You don't have to do it standing. So this is really simple. And it's not necessary to put your full weight on the ball. Just enough to feel where the little uncomfortable spots are. And then sit there. That's it. So again, really easy thing to do when you're binge watching Tiger King. Looking for those little hot spots, and you just sit and park on it. Let it dissolve by 50%, and then roll a little bit more, looking for more areas of that wound up tight area of muscular tissue. So definitely remember, hop onto our YouTube channel. The plan there is to start to create small little sections of the body and give you multiple ways to work on that one little area. So if something's bothering you, you can click on the one that's titled, elbow pain, and you'll see a couple different ways to work on elbow pain for you. So make sure you should subscribe, and then you'll be notified every time we upload a new video. Comment below if you want me to reach out to you. We can set up a free 20-minute Zoom consult. Oh, it feels awesome. And then remember, we just did the right leg. So you're going to want to rewatch this and do everything in reverse to the left side. All right. also looking for ideas for next week and the week after. So comment below in the live feed and we'll read through all that stuff and let me know, what do we need to do for you guys? What area of the body bothers you the most? What can I do to add value for the next time that we do this Self-Care Saturdays? I've got my own ideas, but what's important is, what do you guys need? So the only way to know that is for you to comment below and let us know, and we'll make sure to address those in all the upcoming Self-Care Saturdays. With that, we're coming to a close. Remember to breathe. Remember to take care of yourself. Stay active. Like me. Please like me. Like my page. You'll get notified every time that we upload a new Facebook Live video. And remember to feel, move, and live better. Thanks for joining, guys. See you next week.